Welcome to episode 23 of A Message From. We are your hosts. I'm Alyson.
I'm Edward.
And today we have a second message from Annie. And we have a ton of things to talk about. So we're just going to get right into it, play the message from the top, and go from there.
Sounds good.
Hey, Edward and Alyson. I am leaving a very quick message. I wanted to get your thoughts on some of the worst part-time jobs that you had to endure. Edward and I had to work at a retirement home, and I was a bartender, and he was the dishwasher. And I was recently told about a book that one of the residents was writing, and it was pretty graphic and vulgar. But Edward can expand on that in the pod. But I just want to hear more about some terrible jobs you guys had. Thanks.
Okay. Wow. This retirement home sounds wild. A bartender?
Yeah.
There was a bar at the retirement home. No wonder these old people are writing dirty, vulgar books. They're just boozing it up all day.
Yeah, well, when Annie said vulgar, I was like, and what was the other word she used? Graphic.
Graphic?
I think she just meant like rude and mean. Because I read some of it as well. And I mean, maybe there's parts of it that are like graphic or vulgar. But she's pretty much just calling everybody, like she hated like a ton of people, apparently, this woman.
Well,
she really went off.
I feel like that's like par for the course. When you get older, you just have no filter and you say what you want.
Yeah, this place it was technically a retirement village, which I think is an important distinction.
That's the key.
Yeah.
A village. Like when you hear stories about the villages in Florida, you know that, right?
I know of them, I think, yeah.
Oh, God. It's notorious. It's like the retirement village and everyone drives around in their golf carts. Like, it's just wild, the stories that come out of that place.
Yeah, so this place was kind of like a mix of both. Like, it was quite independent, but it wasn't like it was basically just like 4 apartment buildings attached to each other by like a hallway that was like a strip mall in the basement, essentially.
Oh,
yeah.
Basement strip mall. It just keeps getting better.
Yeah, well, it's like a strip mall in the sense that like over there is like a store and over here is like the theater, and then like, you know what I mean? Like there was the bar, and then if you went down this way, you got to the restaurant, and like it was like a pub, I guess.
Okay.
So yeah, it was an interesting place. I was a dishwasher. That was I think it was probably the worst job that I've ever had.
Really?
In terms of just like, it sucked.
I've had a few dishwashing jobs myself.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned this a little bit in the last episode, but I used to work in the dining halls when I was at university. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, it was like a love-hate thing. I made some really good friends there, like people I'm still friends with to this day. Mm-hmm. I got really close with 2 of the full-time workers there. Mm-hmm. And they were like my work mom and dad, and like we would celebrate each other's birthdays together, and like we still talk to each other, and yeah. So shout out to Amy and Ron. Love you. Hope you guys are doing well. But
oh my God, there was a Ron.
Yeah, I was a little bit of everything there. I was like a coordinator, like a shift manager, and I could talk for days about this, but we'll focus on the dishwashing aspect.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there was the summer where I was working there during like all of the youth sports camps, and it was like over 90 degrees every day. I'd be walking to work at 5:15 a.m. and it was already like 90 degrees outside.
Yeah. Also, like summertime in a dish room / a kitchen is
the
rough.
heat. Oh,
rough.
It'd be like 120 degrees in there.
Yeah.
I would always get in trouble too because I would sneak over to Amy, who was at the cookie baking section, and just hang out with her. But there was this guy who, okay, I know this is like a no, but we all called it crack.
Oh boy.
He made this iced coffee in the huge like 5-gallon tubs and would keep it in a cooler in the basement, and we just ladle out. Oh, it was so good.
Okay.
But
ladling out iced coffee is such a visual.
No, but I mean, you see the worst of the worst in the dish room. Like, I would get so annoyed because these kids, they were my peers, right? Okay, like, we're all in university together.
That's true.
But
this is
they
university.
they would literally like shove all their trash in the cups and put like the most disgusting things and like mix their food together and then like put it all in their cups like they were 5 years old.
Ew.
And then, you know, when you're working the dish room, you have to like dig that out. I'm like,
yeah.
What's wrong with you?
I remember also dishwashing it'd be like the thing you could touch the hottest things because after a while like it
you had no fingertips.
yeah like I remember like it would depend, like I could pick up things that were thrown onto the line that were hot, and then like when they come out of that machine they're piping
out of the
hot.
dish machine.
Yeah, and it's just like whatever, like boop 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 boop, and like you throw them where they need to go.
You'd be moving so fast. We'd have it down like there was a way you could do, like, if you stacked everything just right in the dish tray, you could just push it and grab it all.
Which I think for us that's something that I thoroughly enjoyed, was like maximizing space. Yeah. Optimization.
Yeah. It was so nice. Yeah. But I think the nastiest dishwashing though was there was a summer I worked at Little Caesars. Like, a family friend owned a Little Caesars pizza place. Mm-hmm. And I wanted some extra work to make some extra money. I was already working at Dairy Queen, too, at the time, which we can get into the Dairy Queen stuff
Jesus
later.
Christ. I think you've had maybe more part-time jobs than I have.
Oh, so many.
Because I have a few that I kept for a long time.
I would have, like, 3 at once.
Yeah. I would have, like, 1, but I'd keep it forever.
Yeah, I would have one that I would keep for a really long time and then, like, sprinkle some other ones in.
Right.
Which this Little Caesars was, like, sprinkled in. I was only there for a summer. Thank you, Jesus. Lord. Because, the grease trap at the dishwashing station, I literally almost threw up in my mouth thinking about how bad that thing smelled. And then it was a nightmare. The smells at that place. You would think like, pizza, like butter and olive oil and garlic and all this yummy pizza. I would get in my car to drive home at night and I would have to roll down all the windows.
What did
and
you
I'd
smell
be
like?
Driving. The smell was awful.
I also worked at a pizza place as a dishwasher, but I smelled like pizza and like.
Well, no, because I wasn't just a dishwasher. Like, we did everything. So, like, some days I'd be making the pizza. Some days I'd be, like, washing the dishes. Sometimes I'd be, like, getting the pizzas out of the oven, whatever, working the register. The smell, oh, my gosh. I couldn't stand being in a closed car with myself.
Interesting.
Oh, it was so bad.
Interesting. Because the pizza place that I worked at, it was, like, an Italian restaurant, I guess. But it mostly did pizzas. Well, no, they did pasta, too. Whatever. That it was so small that like the dish room was everything was in the same place. Like I turned around, it was, you know, like unlike the retirement village where that dish room was its own space. Space. God. Where else did you work? So
I did say Dairy Queen. I worked at Dairy Queen for a long time. If you remember from last week's episode, that was where I got a job when the ice rink played me and didn't hire me.
Yes.
Yeah, so I got a job at Dairy Queen, and again, still friends with a lot of those people to this day.
Look at you.
I mean, we had like a club. It was awesome. We would like go on outings together. We've been to each other's weddings, you know. Well, I haven't had a wedding, but been to some of their weddings.
You're not married. I had no idea.
Not married. Um, and so I actually did really enjoy working there. Like, we would make our own Blizzard flavors. We'd be like, okay, I'm going to go to the store and buy, like, Pop-Tarts. And this week we're making Pop-Tart Blizzards for ourselves.
Wait. When you worked in a dish room, did you ever eat some of the food? Not that came off of plates.
Oh, my God. Okay. We can talk about when I worked in the dish room, our manager at the dining hall that I was in was, like... She was a nightmare.
What is this? What does this mean?
Like, I don't even. She'd be like hoarding boxes of cereal in her bottom drawer in her office, but then she would freak out if she saw anyone eating food. So we had a system, right? There was always a lookout, and so we would put food in the cups. It was like those blue plastic cups, right? So you'd get like a blue plastic cup. We'd put food in it. We'd make, like, salads in there. We would, like, put our food in there. And then we'd hide it in the dish room behind certain things. And so we'd be back there, like, eating out of the cup. And there was always a lookout, like, oh, Dorcas is coming. And then we'd, like, hide our cup full of food. And
wild.
It never failed. Like, every so often she would find a cup and she'd be like, who is this? Whose is this? And we would all just be like, oh, I don't know. I've never seen that.
Never seen a cup full of specific food before in my life.
Right.
Wild. There was, because this was a retirement village at this particular dish room, the Sundays was like it was more like brunch. So there was a buffet. And so when it ended, we would just get all the pre-made food that wasn't eaten. And a lot of the times I'd sit there and be like, okay, well, like, I don't have too much to wash right now. And I'd, like, leave one thing aside and sort of, like, I just, like, I don't know, like French toast sticks or, like, sausage patties.
Oh, yeah.
I'd be like, sure, I'll have some of this. But, yeah.
We would always eat, like, the summer that I was working those camps, we would, at the end of shift, we would eat, like, the breakfast.
Yeah.
But... So another thing about, like, jacking food from the dining halls, I graduated long enough ago. It's fine. I can tell these stories. But, you know how I told you.
Yeah, I think you're good.
Like, the dining hall that I worked in was this really small one in, like, an all-girls dorm. So it literally just looked like a really big house. It was, like, it looked like a mansion almost, like not fancy or anything, but it was, you know, because it's all girls, so it was smaller. And so Fridays, we only had half days. We only served lunch on Fridays, not dinner. So at the end of the week, all of the leftover, like, fruits and vegetables and stuff would get composted.
Okay.
I would take that stuff home with me. I would leave with my bag filled with, like, fresh vegetables
that they were just going to toss.
Just going to go in the trash. Yeah, we had to toss it. We had to compost it. Like, we couldn't keep it over the weekend. So
wild.
Oh, so much food.
It did feel bad to waste certain, like, buffet stuff food. Like, it always felt bad. Yeah.
You feel bad.
Yeah. I loved when the fry bins came in, because there was always just, like, fries in a bin in just case, because it was easy, and then when they would get low, they would just make more. But if they ended up making too many later in the day or later in the shift or whatever, then they would, like, come to us and be like, hee, picky.
Yeah.
Divine.
Oh, we also had a pizza station. So after the dinner shift, because for dinner shifts, a lot of times I would do the kitchen prep.
Yeah.
So, and then at the end of the dinner shift, if I was working in the kitchen, I would always eat pizza.
Oh,
there'd be extra pizza, and I would just eat pizza.
There were certain chefs who were like, there was this one woman, and she would always be like, do you want something for dinner? Like, she would come into the dish room and be like, do you guys want anything for dinner? Or, like, do you want, like, whatever the special was? Sometimes it was, like, decent. Sometimes it was, like, hard pass.
Mm-hmm.
But she would always be like, do you want anything? Like, I'll just make it for you to take home. And it was like, I love you, yes. Bacon cheeseburger.
So nice.
Yeah, she was an icon. That place, though, was, woo, wild. I remember also specifically, like, especially when you're in your own dish room and there's a radio, you obviously are just listening to whatever at the time. There was no
the
aux
dish room
cord.
radio.
Oh. Do you have songs that, like, haunt you?
literally, there's a whole selection of songs
Yeah.
that I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a dish
Friday
song.
by Rebecca Black. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And on Fridays, there was one chef who was truly insane, and he would just blast it the entire day on repeat. Like a psychopath. Yeah.
We had, okay, well, let me first off say, our dish room radios were a nightmare. It was like, they were like 1995 boom
super
boxes
finicky.
that you had to like rig the antennas up.
With like an extra aluminum foil from the kitchen.
Yes, aluminum foil.
Yeah.
Yep. Ricky, when he was running the dish room, he was another full timer. I worked with him a lot on that summer.
Mm-hmm.
He would always be blasting like good rap music. But then in our all girls dish room, it was mostly just like the popular hits at the time, right? So there was, that period of time where it was all those like one-offs by like Bastille and like all those kind of bands.
Yeah.
It's like that era for me.
Interesting. Mine was 2010, 2011. So like Stereo.
The Motto. The Motto, when that song
I don't know.
by Drake and
No, I listened to 96.1 Kiss. It was only pop.
Oh, ours was a good mix. Yeah.
It was a lot of Stereo Hearts or Stereo by Maroon 5. A lot of Bruno Mars at that time too. Like Marry You.
Bruno Mars was big. Yeah.
And I remember like texting on my phones, and also just like throwing my phone in the dish room. You couldn't do that now. No. Okay, well let's take a break from dish rooms, and we'll come back and talk about other things that are not disgusting like dish rooms.
Sounds good. Everyone's had enough of the dish room content.
Yeah.
All right, we're back. Talk to us about something other than dish rooms, because we clearly have like a lifetime worth of dish room stories.
Oh, forever and ever. And it's like it's as more we talked about it, the more it was like coming back.
The more it comes back.
Yeah, the picture was getting much more colorful and painted fuller. But I only really had, like I said before, I didn't have too many part-time jobs just because I kept the same ones for so long, and they served the purpose that they needed. Like I made enough money. So I never needed to like add on. But one of my first ever job rather. And I think I started doing this, I think it was maybe I was the summer after freshman year of high school. So like I was definitely not 16. But I worked, I was the manager of the summer reading club at the library in our town. Yeah.
That sounds like actually a really great job.
It was the best job because I sat in air conditioning all day, in quiet air conditioning. And I just sat on the computer.
Incredible.
I mean, like, I don't know. Did you ever do like a reading club thing in the summer when you were a kid?
Yeah.
It's like a thing that like most libraries do. But I don't know if like there was like tokens involved and like you had to like log in books.
No, we didn't have to do that, but part of the summer programming was also a lot of like, I don't know, shows, I guess. Like there was a magician that came once.
Yeah.
There was like a wild animal guy that came once.
Yeah, so I mean, like the way it worked in our library was there was always a theme that like the greater like library collective in the area would like come up with, and so they would give us all the materials. And basically, whatever the theme was, we sort of did our programming around that. There was like, there was a ton of stuff, but like exactly like if I remember one year it was like around the world, so we were doing like different crafts from around the world every Tuesday, like the whole.
Ours wasn't that fancy.
Oh.
We didn't have like a library consortium. Like
No, you probably do. Like all libraries in your area are like that's how you get like holds from like other libraries.
In city, like big cities, yeah, like the city
in
I
suburbs.
live in now.
In suburbs too.
Yes. I don't think mine was in one, but
that surprises me, but okay.
Maybe it was and I'm wrong, but I'm just
like, could you get
flashing
library
back to
books from other places and they would just come to your
I
library?
don't think so. I had to go to the bigger library and you had to like have an in. I remember once having to go to the really big, nice library in Dearborn. And the only reason I could get in there and check out a book was because my dad worked in the city.
Oh, maybe this is just a thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong then.
Well, no, it's a thing. It's a thing where I live now. I just think small downriver suburbs, which is like the area south of Detroit, didn't have a library consortium.
Okay.
But again, I could be wrong.
I don't know.
Could be wrong. Anyway.
I don't know. But
back to your summer themed programming with
yeah.
beautiful around the world projects.
That was a fun year because obviously I was always into like international stuff as a kid in high school. That was another thing, is a lot of my friends would bring their siblings once we could all start to drive. They would bring their siblings, like younger siblings, to like check in books. And after a while, I stopped actually like sitting at the desk. As I got older, like I had enough volunteers that I could just like, I was like, this is your shift. You're here for this time. Like, if you need me, I'll be in the children's librarian office where my computer is.
Look at you running the library.
I know. Well, not the library, but like, I got very good at all that stuff. I would like help out with this and that. But some of this programming, one of the days, it must have been like a Wednesday or some shit. It was always movie day. Whatever hot movies came out that year or coming out that summer, libraries always get like a copy and blah, blah, blah. And we would give free popcorn to the kids, and I had to make the popcorn. And you're thinking, okay, Edward's popping like 20 bags of popcorn in a microwave. No,
I'm thinking you're using a fancy popcorn machine.
Yes, mama. It is like, looks like I'm working at a circus. It's literally just in the library's like staff room where there's like a kitchen, and then next to it is like the table where you like eat and stuff. It's literally just in the corner. And people would just come in for lunch, and they'd just be seeing me, because I had to prep that popcorn like at least an hour in advance. And it was the dirtiest thing to clean. Miserable.
Oh, those machines.
Miserable. Yeah.
All their little crevices, and you can never get like the popcorn butter and bits out.
Never.
Oh, they're a nightmare. I've had
that
to use
oil,
before.
that like butter oil you have to pour into it is so thick
it comes in this big
and
plastic
so
bottles.
orange. Oh, it's so nasty. But I got very good at it. Like some people would do it and they would burn a lot of their popcorn. But I became quite an aficionado at it. But that job was honestly not a terrible job. That was a great job. Great job in the summer.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds great.
Yeah. Actually, I worked there the summer after France too. But I was an assistant.
I remember that.
I was assistant to the children's librarian. I was stepped up a bit. Yeah.
One step up, moving up in the library consortium.
Yes. You know me.
Yeah. Most of my part-time jobs had to do with food, I guess.
Really?
I did a brief stint at Chipotle, and I would end up.
Well, you really is all food.
Like, onions every day. That didn't last.
I can't believe you worked at a Chipotle.
Yeah, it was short-lived. They told me that I would be able to have game days Saturdays off, because I was like, look, I have football tickets. I can't work on home game days. I'm sorry. I got in there before the Chipotle was even open.
Wow, look at you.
They were just building it. Yeah. There was some intense training too. But anyway, they played me once, tried to schedule me during a game. I tried to be like, yo, this can't happen. They were just kind of like, oh, well, you got to talk to so-and-so about this. So-and-so is on vacation. I just didn't show up. And then they called me. They left me a message. When I got there for my next shift, they were like, oh, did whoever talk to you about Saturday? I was like, oh, no, what do you mean? And then I never even got in trouble for it. But it got to the point where I was like, I can't be getting home at 1:30 in the morning smelling like onions. I have homework to do. So I quit.
Okay, interesting. So this is like all stuff you've done. What did you do
in college? That was my freshman year.
This is all stuff you've done in university and college.
Yeah, so Dairy Queen, I kept that. I started that job in high school and kept it all throughout undergrad. Like, I would go there, work in the summers.
Okay.
Because we would close for the winter. It wasn't like an indoor or drive-through or anything. So we would close for the winter. So I kept that job for like many years. Chipotle was first semester my freshman year. I was like, peace, can't do this. And then I started the dining hall job winter of my freshman year and kept that all throughout 5 years of undergrad.
Wild.
And yeah, so then I also started working at this bar / restaurant. This
is this where you learned how to be a bartender?
Barbecue restaurant. Yes.
I forgot about that. You were a bartender.
Yeah. So I'm in need of a job, right? And
apparently
my friend's my friend's sister had just got a job hosting at this restaurant that had opened up in our college town. And it opened up in this cursed spot. Every bar, restaurant, cafe, whatever that's been there has failed. Cursed.
Almost
it's
spit
cursed,
out my water.
But I'm like, it's fine.
Huh.
I'm like, so she ended up getting a hostessing job there. And like, obviously I had worked in food services, my whole life now. But I had never been like a bartender, a waitress, whatever. So she's like, yeah, I'll recommend you. I'll take you in, say you know me. So I went in and interviewed, and they were going to hire me as a hostess, right? Mm-hmm. They were going to have me train as a hostess first. So I get there my first day, and this place had just opened, so it's busy. It's popping. Everyone wants to be there. It's the cool place. So times were good then, but I get there my first night for my first shift, and I check in. I have to go down to the office and check in with the manager. There ended up being many managers throughout my time at this place.
Okay.
And I also worked at 2 locations because it was like a family owned. They had 3 locations, one in Ann Arbor, one in Detroit, and one in, I don't know, another city north of Detroit. But I worked at the one in Ann Arbor, which was the college town, and Detroit, which it was right across the street from like baseball and football stadiums. So it was always busy for games and stuff, and concerts and all that stuff. Anyway, reverse it back to my first day.
So much side information. I'm like, what are we talking about right now?
We're talking about when I get there and I'm supposed to be training as a hostess, but I get in the manager's office and he's like, yeah, so you're going to be shadowing Margarita, who is a server. And so I'm just going to be a server. And I'm like, I'll take it. Like,
tips.
I'm not going to tell anyone. Give me those tips. Yeah. Give me those tips. So my sister and I talk about this a lot, but like there were so many situations where like something would go wrong. We'd be out of something wouldn't be right. One of the beer taps would be flat. We had a lot of beer taps. That was like one of our draws is, we had so many different kinds of really great beers. And then all of a sudden we would like always be out of one, or like something was always going wrong. And like that sick, uncomfortable, like embarrassed feeling when you'd have to go to your table or whatever and just deliver the bad news. It was the worst. Mm-hmm. It was the worst. But that place, like I said, there were many managers, there were many issues. Things went downhill fast. And I will just say this, like, my time there culminated, I have stories for days on the nightmares of this place, but my time there culminated in the latest manager pulling $1 out of his pocket and giving it to me because they owed me money. There wasn't enough money in the cash register for me to cash out on what I was owed for the night. And I was like, I'm not leaving here without all my money because I don't trust that I'm going to get it if I leave without it.
Right.
So he's like, fine. And he pulls this money out of his pocket. And one of the dollars is rolled up so tight because he clearly had literally just used it to snort coke. Iconic. And him and his girlfriend were also sleeping on the floor in the basement at night because they had nowhere else to go.
That is
wild.
I'm so glad that we took that whole journey to get to this tidbit. This is worth it.
point. And yeah, that was
Wow.
really when I knew it was going downhill.
It was time
for
to
a
go.
long time.
It was time to move on.
At that point, I was like, I gotta be done.
Yeah.
This Coke dollar, I'll never forget it.
Wait, so give me a rundown of every job you've had part-time.
Every job.
Like,
Oh my gosh. Okay.
you know what I mean?
Okay. So obviously, very first started out babysitting. You know, obviously that's not like official on the books. People just pay you cash or like write you a check.
Yeah,
Started
so
babysitting in middle school.
babysitting.
Middle school all through high school. There was Dairy Queen,
Dairy Queen.
Little Caesars,
Uh-huh.
the various dish rooms, dining halls, all that.
Uh-huh.
I was an assistant to a professor.
I forgot
Did I say Chipotle?
Not yet.
Chipotle. I worked at the 2 locations of that one disaster restaurant.
Yeah.
I started working at another restaurant, which was slightly less of a disaster, but then also ended up being a disaster because that culminated in a guy dropping a tray of drinks and chopping my ankle open, and
You're really burying all these stories. This is okay. We're up to 8. What's next?
to this day, I still regret not suing that restaurant and the owner.
Oh,
but
iconic!
That's a whole big long story.
Yeah, that we do not have enough time for that today. So we're up to 8.
We can talk about that another time.
Yeah. Any more? Or
We're up to 8.
yeah.
I mean, do like internships count?
No, not today.
No,
Not on this podcast
Not today.
episode.
not today. Was that all my part-time jobs?
I mean,
That
it's
might
quite a
have
bit.
been it.
It's quite. They're literally
8.
all food except for 1 and 2 babysitting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, I was always working a lot of them at the same time.
Right. Yeah, I've only
Yeah.
retirement village, babysitting, retirement village, library, Italian restaurant. I worked in IT services in university, and that paid so well that I didn't do anything else. I just sat on my fat arse. And I forgot, I was also a TA. I got for French, got paid for that. And I was like a tutor. So.
Oh, I was also a tutor.
Yeah, I
so
forgot
that
about
gets me
that.
up to 9. I forgot about that. I was a tutor.
I would say you beat me, but it's because you're older than me, so you've had more life experience.
True. Got a few extra part-time jobs.
Yeah.
That teacher assistant job was nice.
I definitely
I got paid,
was the same age as like a lot of the kids who I was the TA for. So it wasn't weird,
Yeah.
but I was definitely like, there were certain kids where I was like, I'll give him a nicer grade because he's cute. And some of those
I
kids were real
wasn't
annoying.
even working with the students though. It was also with a French professor, but I was literally just like her assistant. Like I would help her grade papers.
Yeah.
I would listen to her speeches that she was like flying to other universities to give, and like read her speeches for her.
Wait,
I took her shopping once because
Uh-huh.
she was about to go on a trip and like needed some things, and she didn't have a car, so I just took her shopping. Like,
wild. I forgot that I was also the assistant for the modern language department, aka I sat in a literal
nice.
closet and just when people would come to me with a book, they'd be like, and it would have like a page they needed scanned, and I would just make scanned copies for professors. But that was only
that's
like a
such
semester.
a nice gig.
Yeah, I forgot about that. A lot of random gigs in university. But
Yeah.
yeah. Thanks, Anne, for the massage. You will get your
Yeah, this was a good one.
second postcard.
Second postcard coming.
Yeah, any other postcard updates? Do we have any other ones? Kitty just got hers.
Finally.
Did I tell you that?
No.
Okay, then. Surprise,
That's
Kitty got
great
hers.
news, though. I sent that so long ago.
Yeah, well, something
It's
else
been
apparently came in the
probably-
mail that was like sent a long time ago. So I think it was just backed up. Yeah.
It must have been.
Yeah.
Honestly, it might be like pushing 2 months.
Who knows?
When
Also,
do
did
I
you send
post
one to my
office?
mother?
No, because I don't have her address.
Oh, okay. That's what I
I'm
thought.
pretty sure
She
I
asked me that
for it
yesterday.
and never got it.
Well, I will do that right now live on the pod. I will text you. Where are you? Oh, you're so far down. Oh, no. There you are. Here we go. I'm doing it right now, everybody. Oop,
Yeah.
I spelled it wrong. This is going so well. Anything else I should do while I also text you at the same time? Please rate and review us on wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you would like to send a message and receive a postcard like Annie and apparently my mother now, you can do that domestically in the United States at 202-630-4509. Or if you hate the sound of your voice, or if you live abroad, a message from pod@gmail.com. Check us out at amfpod.com and a message from on Insta. And it was great chatting about work.
Oh, yes. We will see you next time.
Ciao, ciao.